Before we go into the Q&A, we want to welcome Dr. Guerda Nicolas to the stage, and she will be speaking a bit more about how we can better work together. So, Guerda, I'm not going to say any more. Please do your thing.
Thank you so much. Bonjour tout le monde. Honneur. Good to see everybody. Congratulations to Replenish, right? Because I feel like they're replenishing me all the time. Every time I get a chance to connect and participate in anything you guys are doing, I feel like it's not just a name, right? We get a chance to really replenish our mind, replenish our bodies, replenish our spirits in many, many ways. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be with all of you here. And I really appreciate the opportunity to hear Nayed also before me. So some of you may know I was born and raised in Haiti in Tigouave, that's where I call home. For the last 30 years, I am in country once a month. I bring my kids and my family where we vacation in Haiti twice a year. So in December, we're there just doing in the new year. And then in August, we also go to Haiti. I have two beautiful girls and two younger siblings. And we vacation in Haiti to other parts of the Haiti. And that's an opportunity to bring them to the country because they were not born there, right? Which is an important part of what I'm going to share. So it is within the work that I've been doing in Haiti as a psychologist that it became really clear to me that there were some gaps taking place, particularly in the section community, in the rural communities, which I believe is the en-dehors pays, right? That is the non pays. The heart of the country is the rural communities in Haiti. And it was clear to me that there was a misconnect between what was happening in most of the République d'Haïti, right, Port-au-Prince, and then other large commune. And then there is what was happening in the rural communities. And that is what took me and Pierre to spend 10 years to then research and understand the country, really fully understand the country, and then to get a sense of what are the gaps that are missing to create a transnational community foundation called IT Community Trust. The words of the names also are meaningful in terms of that. So as a transnational community foundation that has a community-driven approach to it, which means the work that the foundation is doing is directed by the organizations in the rural communities because we believe that they have the capability of doing and implementing and thinking, right, in terms of sustainable development in the rural community. And we do that in those three areas that you see: civic education, environment, and entrepreneurship, because we believe those pillars, not believe because we believe, because we've done the research. Societies are built around those particular pillars, right, to be able to do so. But the focus was around mobilizing to ensure that we're mobilizing individuals within the country and individuals outside of the country, so Haitians outside of the country, to build a permanent fund, an investment fund, right? A permanent fund to do this work and a significant work. So what I want to share with you this morning is this concept of interculturalism, right? This morning, because when we're talking about diaspora collaboration, and I believe even when we're talking about in-country collaboration, there's an intercultural piece that we need to pay attention to. And oftentimes we don't, because we assume that we're all Haitians, that we're all talking about Haiti, that we all know the same Haiti. I know people in Haiti that has never left Gangwa. So therefore they can't possibly tell you what happened in Okap, for example, right? Or there are people in Okap who's never been in Plateau Central, right? And so on. So this idea about interculturalness becomes really, really important, because it means that when we show up to conversations, we're not paying attention to that particular piece yet, because we assume that we're actually on the same playing field. And one of the things that I think we are learning as a part of the foundation is that when we show up in a place, we're not in the same place. So I'm from Tigouave, Gangouave, where nous bois soup nous. Bakon, et malakaye yo di yo manger soup la. What I'm doing, so if you show up at my house, I'm giving you a bowl, you can drink your soup. If I go to Akaya in another place, they give me a bowl, they give me a spoon to eat my soup. I was like, I don't know. Yeah, see, that's what we're talking about in terms of this intercultural piece, right, that I want to talk about. So this concept of interculturalism is describing communities in which there is a deep understanding and respect for all. Let me say that again. So when we're talking about interculturalism, we're talking about where there is a deep understanding and respect for all aspects of that culture, right? So it means that, so when we're engaging with each other, so if somebody says they drink their soup, I'm gonna wanna understand that. I'm gonna have a respect for it. I'm not gonna say something is wrong with that, right? Because interculturalism calls for us to have the word is deep understanding, not a superficial understanding, not a like I really, really, truly, fully understand what that means. In order for us to get to interculturalism, it means that we also have to get to intercultural communication, right? So this deep understanding and respect for one's culture, for all aspects of the culture. So that means that when I show up and I said, I'm a voodooism, there's not a reaction to that, right? There's not a lack of respect to that. So that leads to this intercultural communication, which talks about this mutual exchange, right, of ideas, of cultural norms, and the development of this deep relationship, right, that we need to have. So I know my time is short before I hit the little bell, so I will talk about 4 things as it pertains to this issue about intercultural communication and interculturalness, which I think is central for this dialogue that we're about to have in terms of diaspora collaboration. Because we assume that the collaboration is just going to happen because I show up with Jean and I are there, we're going to just collaborate, and that there isn't some work that we're going to need to do to make that happen. And there's not homework that I need to do beforehand before I get there. So I want to talk about these 4 things. And if you miss me, if you're falling asleep because it's early in the morning, we say them, and then we can we can always debate them later. I want to talk about awareness as number 1 in terms of this step. The second one is about being open-mindedness. And with that, put a slash on it, say empathy, open-mindedness and empathy. Think is about learning. There's a learning and unlearning. That's number 3 that needs to take place. And then the 4th one is about language acquisition, like the way we, talk about. And lastly, maybe hopefully I'll mention very quickly about inclusion, right, in terms of that. So what do I mean about being aware? It is important to be aware of who you're talking with. So I need to be very clear that when I get in a space with Regine, that I'm talking with Regine, it's true, Regine is in Haiti, but Regine is also a diaspora that also is very much grounded in New Orleans. So do I know that part about her? So if I show up and I only see her as either a diaspora, or I only see her as somebody who's in Pétionville, then I'm missing something because I'm not so aware of certain things. So it means that I have to be aware and bear in mind all of the elements that makes up what it means to be Haitian, what it means to be a diaspora, right, and so forth. The second thing is I have to be open-minded and have a level of empathy. So I have to be open-minded to the fact that Regine's perspective on certain things may be different than mine. And that if I want to develop a genuine relationship, not a transactional relationship with her, that I'm going to need to have an open-mindedness in terms of what she's bringing to the table, the way she's showing up at the table, and the conversations that we're going to have. And to some extent, she's going to give me grace. Let me say that she's going to give me grace parce que gon façon que l'aime commence parler langue créole là, que mon cap dit bon, regardez gens qui da parler langue créole là. Mais dit yo ka rime jusqu'à maman ba comme ça. Soleil levé, soleil couché, yo ka rime, mais m'a parler quand même. But there has to be a level of empathy that is embedded in that. So this idea of ou pas connaît, you don't know, doesn't make any sense because I'm trying to develop this intercultural connection with you, and there's awareness of that. There has to be a wanting to learn the basic aspects of what it means to be Haitians. What is Haitian culture? What I'm learning is even in country, people don't know what it means to be Haitian. Like, nous pas connaître nous. We don't know our story. We don't know our history. We don't know who we are. We don't know certain things. So there has to be a part of wanting to learn. And we oftentimes show up in spaces where there's a sense of I already know it. I don't really know nothing. So how do I allow for this 2 ears, 1 mouth moment so I can actually sit and learn about what is it that I need to learn? So there's a learning that needs to take place in terms of this intercultural thing as well. And then the last thing is about inclusion. Like, how do I create spaces that allows for everybody who's coming to the table to have a seat at the table? right? And everybody who may not necessarily be a part of this table to feel like they have a piece of the table. So if in fact I'm invited to a good barbecue, and I'm invited to a good barbecue with some really good people that could impact Haiti in a significant way, I shouldn't just see that as I was invited. I should be thinking about, how do I invite Regine? So I said to my person who invites me, can I bring a guest? Because that's inclusion, right? And so then now I can make sure that I'm bringing a guest with me. And if my guest shows up there, and I say this all the time, and there's no chair for them, I should be able to put them on my lap so they can also be a part of that table and be included as well. So this piece on intercultural is really important. Let me close by saying this, that to our process within the foundation, with Haiti Community Trust, it was really important to make sure that we understood what does interculturalism mean and what does intercultural communication mean, because we are in a process of mobilizing what we are referring to as the Haitian nation. The Haitian nation. The Haitian nation is not based in Haiti. The Haitian nation is Josette and Paris, right? The Haitian nation is our friends who are in China. It is our brothers and sisters who are in Germany. It is our brothers and sisters who are in Italy, right? So how do we mobilize this Haitian nation using these intercultural elements that we're talking about, right? And that has allowed us to launch a program within IT Community Trust that we're calling United in Legacy, because we are mobilizing Haitian nations to actually join, no matter where you are, to unite for purpose, unite in action, unite, right? Together for the betterment of Haiti. You don't need to show up in Haiti. You don't need to get on a plane to show up in Haiti for us to recognize that we are part of the same nation. It just so happened this nation may have 5 or 10 million of its children also living outside of the country in addition to that. So we launched this United in Legacy because we recognize that all across the globe, there are people who are dedicated to the future of Haiti, right? And so we want, and many of them are mobilized, vis-a-vis the country. So how do we do that in a collective way, right? To think about innovative solutions together to support the grassroots organizations in Haiti that leads to sustainable economic development, not one-time transactional moment, but think about sustainable development that needs to take place for us within the foundation in the rural communities, because we believe that if we focus on sustainable development in the community, in the rural community, Haiti will look very different, right? We will be in a very, very different place. So United in Legacy is that mechanism that we are using where we are integrating all of these intercultural elements that we're talking about asking individuals to join in that effort to move us forward in a collective way as well. So I'm looking forward to this conversation about Diaspora Collaborative. I'm super excited that I finished before my bell started ringing. Thank you.